Ah, Crash Twinsanity. Has there ever been a more divisive game? Seriously, it seems there are as many people who love it than people who hate it. What's for sure is that for the fifth mainline game in the series, developer Traveler's Tales attempted something completely different. I loved the game as a kid, but that was 15 years ago. Do these changes make the experience better? Is this game as glitchy as they say? Let's find out. The game opens with a nod to the true ending of Wrath of Cortex, with the Doctor and Uka Uka frozen solid drifting towards Insanity Island. Guess that's a bit of a spoiler there. On the island, Coco is chasing a butterfly as geniuses do, but look out! Cortex is freed from his icy prison and zaps her with his laser gun. Crash on his end is digging for shoes and witnesses, something I'm sure we'd all rather forget. So, yeah, with that we're left to freely explore around. It's a tutorial area of sort to get used to controlling Crash.
It is I, Aku Aku. My duty is to protect you. You may summon me by breaking open these crates. Call me thrice, and I shall grant you special powers.
Great, but you were already with me when I started the game. For now, I'll just entertain myself with Crash's favorite hobby, blowing up chickens to retrieve a red gem. Other popular activities include making magical trees grow, climbing the salmon waterfall, and jumping on big worms to get another gem. At this point, you've understood already. Gems will randomly be found around the levels and are not a bonus for breaking boxes. In any case, Crash is eager to follow his sister to whatever she has to show him. Yes, this is more tutorial, just in case you haven't gotten a grasp on the controls yet, but they did make it entertaining.
It's easy! All too easy.
Second try. R.I.P. Bozo. Did I mention this game is really funny? Proof being, the best character in this game.
Hey! Yeah, you! I've been doing this for 10 stinking years. Back and forward, and I'm sick of it! Well, I'm not gonna do it no more! Fuck off!
Well, look at that, Coco made it out alive. I'm so glad! Never mind. Yes, it's Cortex back with a vengeance, and he managed to call all his minions to the rescue, including a jaundice-ridden Koala Kong. They don't actually do anything. The fight is against Cortex, his gun, and his hoverboard. He also destroys the arena, but it's not much of a fight. You simply run around avoiding the blasts until you can return one, like in the first game. And you can bully Cortex like in the third game. Once he's had enough of losing, here comes N-Jin and his new Mecha Bandicoot. It's more of the same. Run away, spin back energy balls, until you've destroyed all of the mech's weapons, which causes it to drop down a hole and take both Cortex and Crash down with it. Of course, he's not too pleased about it, and we find ourselves brawling down a cavern. How lucky are they to be dodging the nitro boxes while fighting? This is a fun gameplay section, though. The fight is eventually broken up, with Cortex finding a crystal just lying there, and a drill coming out of the ground. This is a ship full of weird ants, and they're having a bit of trouble getting out.
I'm stuck.
We have to close the 4 doors by belly flopping them, and it might seem easy, but don't be fooled. The Aku masks around don't work. Thanks for the special powers. I managed to do it, and the ants leave, bringing Cortex back down to the ground. Of course, Crash wants some of that crystal and tries to steal it from Cortex in that new gameplay style, which is where we run into the first glitch of the game, right there. I didn't even hit a new checkpoint, so I get more and more stupid ants killing me. Well, this took annoyingly long, Why are those creatures even taking boxes to begin with? I don't care. I'm just about ready to leave now. Are you fucking kidding me? How did I ever put up with this game as a kid? This time we do make it up, thank God. And there's something cathartic in throwing Cortex down the pit. Of course, the real idea is to get him to activate those switches. Yay, teamwork! He can also kill rats and teleport at will. Two very important skills in life. I don't really know why he bothers fighting with Crash if he can teleport away, but I'm not judging. Besides, he won't glitch into the floor and die while he's here. Let's make rocks randomly fall and get out of here while being chased by that giant drill. I'm more afraid of those gears. I've seen what they can do to a man. I do make it first try, and okay, why not? Crash is also eager to finally get back to the surface. We're out safe and sound, and those random space birds appear and introduce themselves.
Cower, you fools, before the awesome might of the evil twins.
They plan on destroying Twinsanity Island and killing us, but Cortex isn't too impressed, which costs him his brain. There certainly is a lot of random, unexplained creatures showing up all around the place, but never mind that, Cortex is right here, presumably having gotten his brain back in his head. Poor lad can't catch a break, now even the bees are after him. Now it's our job to keep him safe from more harm for some reason. I don't know why we care for the guy who tried to kill us half an hour ago, but this is a pretty fun gameplay section where we have to be fast to run to the traps to deactivate them before they can kill Cortex. Of course, things get from bad to worse for our dear doctor. That bear, as plotting as he may be, is quite scary with his ability to phase through solid traps. We keep him alive as long as possible, but the fool runs into Papu Papu and gets himself captured. Now Crash is on his own again, and we have to do our best solid snake impression to avoid being spotted and probably eaten. I don't know, the boat dudes are pretty chill. Why can't you all let me go through like that? This guard's pretty shit though. He's not the slightest bit alarmed at a tree falling down towards him. I think I'll be fine. I take that back, dude was so offended he killed me with his gaze alone. Let's just bypass all those people and invade their village. Wouldn't you know it, they got Cortex right there, and a free crystal as well. Now I know what I'm fighting for. Our mission now is to take a worm to the other side of the village to free Cortex. And let me tell you, this tribe has a lot of Akus stored around, which allows us to experience his much-awaited
Special powers.
Yeah, that's it. 10 seconds of invincibility and no special music. What a downgrade. Look at that. Papu Papu is soundly asleep in his hut. I go on a side quest to a gem, and much to my dismay, coming back to Cortex, I realize the worm went all the way back to the beginning while I was gone. Let's do all that again, shall we? There we go. Unfortunately, that great value totem collapsed on impact, sending Cortex downstream as I'm left running away in the other direction. They're relentless, but lucky for me, there's a gap they can't possibly cross. With that, we find Cortex magically untied and on the complete other side of the island from where the stream was taking him. And this guy, who apparently knows Crash and tasks us with making his trees grow or something. Cortex isn't having much of his nonsense either as he shoots him.
I'm an evil scientist. What do you expect? This isn't a game.
Still, no harm in using him for a bit of whack-a-mole. No harm to Crash, I mean. And here's where I make a big mistake! I noticed some crates and fruits this way, and I can freely explore, so I do. But what a fool I am as the game activates its invisible wall trap card on me. I'm now placed right back at the bee cutscene, which yes, means more of that, and also more of that. Although this time around, I did manage to get that glitch to happen.
Hello?
Yeah, you hear that right? It fucked up the music too. Even the village section has the wrong music playing. It's pretty amusing, but That's still 15 minutes of extra gameplay that didn't need to happen. I'm finally back to the farm, more shooting, more trees. Let's not do all that again. The evil twins were waiting for us up there all along. Now I feel bad for them, except they make a statue alive somehow, and now we have to fight it. This is a cool design for a boss. I hope this fight will be epic. So, it has a hand attack. You dodge by running in one direction. Mini statue guys, you dodge by running in one direction. And badass eye lasers you dodge by running in one direction. Just choke on my cortex and let's get it over with. The evil twins weren't entertained by the fight, and neither was I. Cortex then invites us over to his lab to counteract the twins' stupid plan. This random boat guy calls Crash a furry, but he's my ticket to the rest of the game, so let's trust him. And just like that, we're on a frozen island. Of course, nothing works in there, and we have to take the long way in. So, we gotta avoid those bats that look like the Brain and Rocket Kamikaze penguins. Yes, that is a real enemy in this game. And slowly climb up the iceberg on a variety of mechanical parts. This part right here is the first platforming section with no gimmick since the start of the game. And after all the craziness we went through, I must admit it feels a bit boring. Making it up far enough though, we find Cortex again, discussing something with his penguin employees.
The check bounced. Are you sure? Well, the past few years have kind of been slow. Wrath of Cortex didn't do as well as we'd hoped, and... Fish?
Damn, he's a savage. That's one way to avoid spending any cash, I guess. Yes, the co-op gameplay is back because Cortex can't be bothered to warp around, so we have to throw him over every obstacle. But hey, I won't diss the man. He clearly grew immune to the freezing waters, which makes him better than Crash. On second thoughts, maybe not. Yes, I know game, very useful tutorial. We made it up the mountain and Uka Uka is trapped in ice here. How did he get so high up? In any case, he's freed now, and Crash is clearly very happy about that, but he thanks us by trying to kill us. Uka may look menacing, but this boss fight is very easy. Throw Cortex to each lever while avoiding the extremely slow attacks thrown your way and jump on this button, and voila, boss beaten in a literal minute. He's very angry about being beaten, but Aku Aku mentions the evil twins and...
Even yours threatens to destroy this world.
No! That's my job!
And just like that, Aku and Uka decide to team up. It doesn't take that much in the grand scheme of things. For our part, we make it to the lab, and no way. They were beaten in less than 2 minutes as well. Either those birds have incredible power, or Uka is really on his off day. The twins drop a hint that they're from Cortex's past.
You don't remember us, do you, Doctor?
Oh, the drama. And make us fight against more robo-ants, which is truly evil because this part sucks. But, hey, it's not all bad. We get a free floating lightsaber from the encounter. The best strategy is still to throw Cortex at them and let him shoot them since they won't attack or damage him. The evil twins are not too happy about us still being alive, but they'll do nothing more about it and leave. The masks on their end are not too happy about Cortex knowing those fools, and it leads to a pretty damn funny cutscene.
I've ruined the lives of so many. I can't be expected to remember them all.
Such a big head! Such a tiny brain!
If we deliver him to the evil twins, perhaps they will spare us.
But they'll kill me!
That's a risk I'm willing to take!
Crash, I've been like a father to you. I created you, nursed you, tried to destroy you. So what do you say? With my mighty intellect and your vacuous stupidity, we'll be unbeatable.
And just like that, it's acted. Crash and Cortex are officially working together. And the Doc's big plan is to go to the 10th dimension to fight the twins. I mean, they seem pretty powerful. I'm not too sure about giving them home stage advantage, but he's the genius. Let's just enjoy another great moment together, shall we?
We require 6 power crystals in order to make the leap, and we have 4. Let's see. That isn't enough!
To remedy that Cortex suggests going to see N-Jin on his battleship, I thought the guy was dead. But Cortex sure knows how to be suggestive. Crash wants to quench his thirst too. Oh, never mind, he's just a psychopath. Here's a new gameplay switch again. This time, it's sledding down a mountain. It was one of my favorites as a kid, if only for moments like this. But in reality, it's a tad bit hard to turn while riding Cortex.
Coming through! Ladies? Excuse me, madam. Are those real? Mother?
There was no need to include any of that in this game, but I'm so glad they did. But yeah, it's not exactly a difficult level, and they both end up fighting again and land on Dingo Dial taking a fat shit. With no sound effects. We leave Cortex to recover from his CBT session and enter the battleship alone. And oh boy, if I thought Koala Kong had jaundice earlier, N-Jin is clearly a breath away from death. So, we cross the ship to go up to random barrel-throwing enemy and his quality death animation, and use the secret spring rockets to cross gaps. Real modern warfare those. The most common enemies around are the rats infesting the place. No wonder N-Jin looks like he's been dead for a week. This part's more straightforward, uneventful platforming, except for N-Jin's secret weapon, the rat jump scare. We finally make it to a lift taking us to the boss, and the music change here really lets you know what to expect. It's pretty simple. Run in one direction to avoid missiles. I'm getting good at that part, and then wait for N-Jin to catatonically throw a TNT at you. Yes, that's it. Do that 3 times and you win. This has to be the very last thing they put in the game. You can't possibly have a boss this easy and this short still making you feel like you've lost 10 minutes of your life. There it's finally over, and for some reason, the platform stops floating as well, and Crash drops to his death. Or back onto the ship, and here comes the legend.
Ah, yummy fresh meat for my pot.
I gotta admit, it's proper terrifying to see him running towards you. Why isn't he the boss? This isn't an easy chase section either. He's right on your tail the whole time, and you have little time to react. This makes N-Jin feel like a peon. Escape complete, and who do we have here? A wild N-Jin falling from the sky? Man, that guy falls very slowly. Crash, for once, doesn't die from an explosion, and luckily lands on a nearby ice block where Entropy and N-Brio are chilling, as you do when you're on a day off from conquering the world. And we're in for another boss. You'll never guess the strategy, guys. You have to run in circle in one direction to avoid N-Brio, then Entropy descends like a Sigma, and now you have to run and jump in one direction. I'll just skip ahead. Okay, we're just standing right there now. Nice. And Cortex is here too. Let's just go with that. We got all the crystals we need. What luck. But Coco made her way here on her own and breaks the machine by kicking Cortex in the nads.
My crystals!
The Psychotron isn't too pleased and paralyzes her again. Ugh, we could have used her help with this whole mess. Apparently now Cortex's niece is the most qualified person to fix the machine, and we have to go to the Academy of Evil to find her. Very spooky. We leave Coco behind and jump aboard Cortex's airship in the easiest way possible. And oh no, not those nerds again. And random playable Cortex shmup section. Really, it lasts 20 seconds. It's a weird way to reveal another playable character, but more on that later. There we are, the Academy of Evil. We can trust Cortex to know the way around. And it's a good old sewer level. We trap Cortex into a pipe and hear him whine for a bit.
I'm stuck! The greatest evil scientist in the world! Stuck in a pipe. How could things get any worse?
That should shut him up for a while. And just like that, we're pushing him around and letting him go through pipes to make platforms appear for us. This academy sure has peculiar sewers. And that's before talking about the radioactive waste. Might explain the floating bugs. So, yeah, we periodically stick Cortex in pipes and platform around to build the path for him, and somehow he managed to glitch his way into a pipe, and I had to kill myself because it soft-locked me. Overall, it's not an extremely fast-paced level, but it's alright, and it's pretty fun to see Cortex rolling around. Oh hey, look at this, Dingodile lives in here apparently.
How's ain't it? Rumor is you two chums have got your mitts in some treasure. And I want a piece of that pie.
I have no idea what you just said.
So, from what I understood, he's interested in the twins' treasure as well, and because of that, he wants to kill us. Nice. And the dude must be really poor too, because this boss fight isn't easy. He varies his attacks a lot, and it's surprisingly tricky to know what's next and avoid it. I died a fair few times during this fight. Upon winning, Crash takes this elevator back to the surface, and we enter the academy via a door opened in the courtyard. So much for a secret entrance, Cortex. First order of business hiding from those nerds. It's kind of like the tribe's stealth from earlier, but in a straight line with no enemies or platforming, so basically it's a waste of time. Oh yeah, thanks. So, the hallways in this place are full of more nuclear wastes and explosives. I guess it does fit a definition of evil, but you can probably sue them for some easy cash. I mean, those dweebs stand right next to Nitros, with the switch right in front of them. I think they have the same plan. And here we have it, the library. I doubt it'll make kids enjoy reading more. As you can expect, the acid or whatever rises fast, and you have to escape. And it's pretty difficult, if only because you can't see where you're jumping most of the time. You can save a bit of time by jumping directly to those crates there, but that won't help you deal with some of the bullshit in this section. Fortunately, I made it, despite all that, and out of nowhere, here comes the man himself, and oh boy, it's where the fun begins. If you thought he was a brick and it's about time, you haven't seen nothing yet. His run speed is terrible, and so is his jump. He can't even jump over singular crates. Of course he makes up for it by shooting at everything from a distance, but man, starting with the chase section was evil. You simply cannot see where you're going, and if you get stuck and the bugs catch up to you, you're dead, since Cortex has no way to get out of there despite the masks. You also enter those rooms with weird frog-looking enemies. You have to shoot and it's so bad. You have a jump shot like that and also a charge shot, but both are useless since the best way by far to complete those sections is to mash the button and avoid confrontation. The more conventional sections are better but still annoying since the auto-aim doesn't always comply fast, but it's a minor nitpick since you're not in a rush and enemies are easy to kill. So yeah, it's not massively fun, but it's playable. To summarize, the classroom sections are boring, repetitive, and last forever. The chase sections are frustratingly difficult, with explosives you can't see coming and a Cortex who can't afford a single mistake. And the normal sections are somewhat alright, but slow-paced and not as satisfying as playing as Crash. 0.5 out of 3 ain't bad. We managed to find Nina, and we instantly get to play as her. First thing we can do is this. Yeah, that's what you get for coming into a girl's bedroom. More on Nina, she has a grapple hook hand, so she can grab onto stuff and swing from them. It's not especially difficult and is more of a gimmick than anything else. She also can barely make this simple jump. No, really, I lost like 5 lives in this exact spot. Yeah, Nina's pretty heavy to control too. She jumps higher than Cortex, but with no double jump and rather slow speed, she's still no Crash. And this level design, the game spams enemies you can easily avoid, and the gems are just not even hidden anymore. Yeah, the previous levels weren't Tomb Raider with them either, but here they're all just straight up on your path. What's up with that? And it's so repetitive too. You do the same chimney jumps and wall climbs 20 times in this stage. Please end it. Here's finally something new. Never thought I'd be so happy to see a chase section. It's way easier than the ones with Cortex, and we're quickly back to ignoring enemies again. Speaking of, here comes the uncle, and we get to play him again. Yay! We're instantly thrown into a cutscene with Madame Amberly, the head mistress of the place, and she decides to attack her former student for literally no reason. Yes, it's boss fight time, and this one's more than holding the joystick in one direction, as you actually get trapped by her attacks and have to shoot down the pipes not to get stuck, after which she gets bored and throws bells at you for some reason, and you can attack her by shooting them back. That's kinda it. Do that 3 times and she drops to a messy death. I must say, I like the presentation of that boss, and it makes you at least think a bit. Crash is just waiting here for us, and Cortex finally remembers he can teleport around. We're finally leaving. It's not the only thing Cortex remembers, as we get lore dumped on us. Apparently he experimented on his pet parrots as a child, and sent them to another dimension or something. I don't know, I wasn't that involved in discovering the life of those birds, but at least now they're not just randomly going after us. Anyway, Nina did fix the Psychotron, and there we are, the 10th dimension. Cortex finds himself hugging an evil version of Crash, and wait a small second there, we just teleported the whole lab to another dimension. How did he get in here suddenly? This makes no sense. I'd say we teleported right onto him, but we were pretty high up. Was he floating in midair or falling from the sky, and was at the exact right height when we arrived to land on that floor dozens of meters from the ground? Anyway, he captures Nina, and after him we go, I guess. Oh well, there he is waiting for us, and there he goes. Of course, Cortex learns nothing, so let's just do what we do. Yes, it's a chase sliding section. Let's hope it's as fun as the first one. Ah well, goodbye. I guess we lost her. Oh, never mind, there they are. And I get punched off the volcano. This section is really nothing special except for some more enemies in your way. And we lose the joke of Cortex's strip club, so it is clearly the worse and more forgettable slide. Before you know it, evil Crash just teleports away, and Cortex instantly gets back up and does the exact same. There's just no transition to the story at this point. There we are at the surface of Twinsanity Island. And geez, this place still gives me the creeps as much as it did as a kid. It just has an unsettling aura, you know? Here they are. Looks like they're peacefully negotiating.
Let her go! Take me instead! Ah!
Things got ugly fast. I'd untie you if I could, but I really can't do much. Let's just follow after Cortex, and here he is being chased again, and we have to make a path for him. Again. I'd say it's slightly more difficult this time, but evil Crash is nowhere to be found. Oh, he's just too busy getting stuck, I see. Cortex gets over his fear of evil Crash quick as he gives up and disappears behind the rocks to turn into a pretty purple gem. Speaking of, the island is filled with massive puzzles for them, but I don't have time for that. We've already made it to the twins' base, and also Nina freed herself and found her way here. We like a strong, independent woman. There we are. It's some sort of futuristic factory setting, as video game villains tend to like, with doors that have to be opened via ball puzzles. Weird choice for a key, but why not? It's also a no-nonsense platforming challenge that gets pretty difficult at times. A lot of enemies and disappearing platforms everywhere. Okay, I lied. There is a bit of nonsense. There are Simon Says platforms in here. The evilest game of all. I also find the focus on combat to be unnecessary. You have those sections where you can only advance after killing enemies, but Crash has only one decent attack, so what's even the point except slowing the level down? This is a pretty strange final level as a whole. It delivers in terms of challenge, but it's hard to believe it's the last stage. There's no sense of build-up. We haven't seen the evil twins since before the Academy of Evil 2. It doesn't feel like the final stretch to the end. I'm not calling the stage itself a dud, though. Gameplay-wise, it's pretty tightly designed. Well, okay, the enemies slide a bit or get stuck in midair sometimes, but it's no big deal. Also, fair warning, for the last puzzle you might be tempted to spin the ball, but no, that doesn't work. you have to guess that you need to slide into it, which is not logical at all, and I was stuck on there forever as a child. Anyway, it's over now, and we have to go through a series of empty hallways to attempt to build tension. Oh hey, Cortex and Nina made it to the unguarded treasure room as well. There are also Entropy, Engine, and Embryo here for some reason, and Spyro and your grandma. No, seriously, the whole universe made it in here. But I always knew Spyro came from an evil dimension. We make it to the arena for the final battle in which the evil twins were just waiting for us.
Your failed experiment sent 2 innocent parrots to the 10th dimension. The severe reversal radioactive conditions here sharpened our skills and warped our fragile eggshell minds.
I mean, yeah, they're kind of the good guys here. Would have come across better if they didn't call themselves the evil twins. They climb into a huge cage mech and we're off to an epic final battle. Crash gives up and Cortex pisses himself, so I guess we're playing Nina. The boss starts by probing itself, always a good sign, and our mission is to climb up those things with her grapple to destroy those crystals. No idea what that does, but they're so far apart and there's no challenge. The boss and its attacks are way too slow, and same for the ant enemies sent after you, so this part feels needlessly long. After so much running around, Nina is exhausted and Cortex grows some balls. I got some bad news though. Much like Cortex's stage, this phase sucks. You just run away from the gun firing at you while mashing the shoot button and hope you don't get hit. But the timing for you turning around is strict, and sometimes you'll get hit for apparently no reason. When you die, you can skip the first cutscene, but you have to restart from the painfully useless Nina part of the fight before you can attempt that Benny Hill section again. And it feels like forever too. The guns have way too much health and you're just running back and forth spamming a button. Did nobody playtest this thing? After many attempts, I complete this part, and here's Crash coming back inside the Mecha Bandicoot. Wait, let's pause it again. So you're about to tell me that while Nina and Cortex fought the boss, Crash has had time to leave the premises, go back to Cortex's lab on the other side of the island, operate the Psychotron to come back to his dimension, made it all the way from the iceberg to Twinsanity Beach, fixed the broken Mecha Bandicoot by himself, and then platformed all the way back to here just in time to fight the twins? Yeah, I don't buy it either. Well, still, I suppose the visual is epic. Too bad the fight is not. You walk around in one direction again and shoot missiles into the massive gaps in the shield, all while the twins always attack behind you. At least that part is easy and takes 30 seconds, so I don't have to restart all over again. The defeated birds just fly away and escape, and randomly find themselves in evil Crash's house.
Well, this is one heck of an ending.
Couldn't have said it better myself. They just get eaten whole, and voila! Those are the enemies the masks lost to in seconds earlier. Back at the base, Cortex turns on Crash, who saw that coming, but the machine randomly breaks down and shrinks Cortex down into Crash's head? I am sorry, but this makes even less goddamn sense. Anyway, with that credits roll, it sure was one hell of a game. Now that it's over, it's time to reflect on the experience. Will I be on team good game or bad game? Alright, let's start by saying the obvious. This game is a glitchy mess. It really is. Even if most of those glitches are just funny interactions, but the odd life lost to bullshit will remind you of how unfinished it is. That, and also how easy it is to sequence break backwards. It happened to me once. But there are several spots in the game where you can just go back and replay one or several levels. Granted, I played it on the Xbox as a kid and it fixed a lot of those glitches, but man, the PS2 version was a rough awakening. Now let's move on to the core gameplay changes, cause it's not all great. The crates are not required to break anymore, so except for extra lives and Aku masks, you don't need to pay any attention to them. The gameplay changes make up for that, since the focus is never really on box breaking, but the moments of pure platforming go by really fast when you just rush through them. The other core mechanic of the series, the gems, have taken a huge downgrade as well. First off, they're not tied to boxes anymore, of course, but they're also piss easy to get. Some of them are a bit hidden in levels, and the hub worlds have puzzles to solve to get them. but a lot of them are a bit off to the side or even straight up in your path. What's the point of a collectible you don't have to work for? Other gameplay complaint? The playable characters. Yes, it's really cool to play as Cortex in a mainline game and all, but both he and Nina are just not fun to play as. Crash has his moveset for a reason. The two others are too gimmicky, as well as slower and less nimble, which makes you not want to play them. And I'm one to defend Coco in Wrath of Cortex, because she's more like Crash from the first game with slightly different attacks, but she still controls just fine, which is a key difference. But you don't have to worry much, do you? You barely play Cortex and Nina at all. They both have a 15-minute level and a small section of the final boss fight. And Cortex has an extra fight that lasts 2 minutes. Talk about playing a demo. Speaking of, let's move on to bosses. They suck. Not all of them do. Dingodile especially was a good challenge, but so many of them are just run one way and attack when the boss stops. It's not even funny. And yeah, Crash has never been known for especially great boss fights, but they've rarely been this easy and brainless. I haven't complained about the story yet, so let's do that. It does feel a bit rushed at time, with characters appearing and disappearing for no reason, and the further you get, the more noticeable it is. The writers gave up, to the point that the 10th dimension is a massive letdown. All the focus is on random evil Crash until he just leaves for no reason and you're at the bad guys' base. What an anticlimax. Okay, that's enough shitting on the game now. Does it have any redeeming qualities at all? Of course it does! First of all, as mentioned earlier, some of the gameplay changes work well enough to make you forget about the boxes, feeling more like a standard platformer focused on dodging obstacles. And there's a shitton of them too, which makes a first-time playthrough a joy. Because you can't predict what will happen next, and you almost constantly are doing something new, even if it's sometimes not quite as good as the previous ones. I could also mention the music, which is excellent. If you know this game a bit, you know the story already, blah blah blah, Spiral Mouth, blah blah blah, a cappella. But truthfully, they did a great job. It's probably the best soundtrack of any Crash game, but to me, it's up there as one of the GOATs ever when it comes to gaming. Those guys really deserve more praise. And third thing of note, Cortex. Okay, that's simplifying it a bit. What I mean is the story is really funny, and Cortex talks 80% of the time, so the credit goes mostly to him. Sure won't go to those birds. Yes, the writing is really good and the story never has a dull moment, but it must be noted that the performance Lex Lang gave us is second to none. A lesser voice actor wouldn't have pulled it off quite well. You can argue about the idea of turning Cortex into a bumbling comedy villain, but you have to admit they managed it very well. There's a reason why Cortex still is this character, and why Lex Lang is still going 20 years later. A round of applause to him and the writers as well. That's all I could think about. Now's time for the verdict. Do I recommend this game? Yeah, I do. It's a good time. I know I complained a lot and found more downsides than good things, but it's mostly a bit nitpicky. I truly think it's a solid experience with a funny story, full of unpredictable moments, small mistakes be damned. And even if you already played it, why not give it another go-around? It lasts 4 hours if you don't go for the optional gems, and you'll still get a laugh out of the numerous cutscenes. I'll end this off by saying the obvious thing everyone knows. This game was rushed, it's unfinished, a lot of content was cut, you know the drill. But I truly believe if development had been given more time and the team could have implemented every idea and polished the final product, we could be looking at one of the best games of all time. Alas, what we have here is a good game with a lot of issues holding it down and a big what if in our minds. And with the idea of a remake being all but dead, that's the Twinsanity we'll have to settle with. Maybe in the 10th dimension the game ended up in a better state? Anyway, with all that out of the way, like and subscribe please. Thank you.